Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm Jenny from the Little Wooden Flower. Today I am going to take you through the steps to make one of our DIY kits. So grab your glue gun and a pair of scissors and let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna grab our box. First off though, make sure you have your glue gun preheated, nice and hot with the glue gun glue stick that was included, and a good pair of scissors that'll get you through the greenery. Any kitchen shears should work perfectly fine. So our first step is gonna take the twine that is included in the kit, and we're gonna half that. So we're gonna take this, and we're gonna cut it right in half to create two pieces. And these are gonna help us wrap around the sides. Okay, so we're gonna take one piece and we're gonna start in one corner. Any corner is fine. Take our glue gun and we're going to glue inside one of the corners about a ½ inch from the corner itself. Place the end of the twine just like that right in the corner and just give it a little hold so that it doesn't pull right from. You can blow on it a little to help with the drying process. Okay, so we're gonna take it from the corner and we're gonna bring it to the opposite corner in which it was glued. Turning the box ever so slightly, we're gonna go into the corner and up to the opposite side. So you'll see here, bottom, and then over to the side. So right here, we're going to cut inside. We're going to take a dollop of glue and secure that little piece that we just cut. Again, about a ½ inch from the inside corner. Hold it down so that it stays. Okay, and then we're basically just going to keep repeating this. We're going to put a dollop of glue right in the same corner that we stopped, about a ½ inch. Place the twine again and hold so that it stays. Try not to glue your finger like I just did. Okay, that should be good. So then again, take it to the opposite corner, loop it around, and bring it back up to the opposite corner. Put a dollop of glue and then place it down so that it stays. You can either trim it before you glue it or you can trim it after, whichever you prefer. Sometimes it is easier to do it afterwards so you're not pulling the glue up from where you put it down. You will have excess, so don't worry about that. Okay, so see how it's half done at this point. Okay, so now we're going to take our excess pieces and we're gonna start in one of the opposite corners that we had. Again, doing the same exact process. Do a dollop of glue about an inch or ½ inch from the inside corner, gluing down, holding so it stays, and wrapping opposite corner and back up, gluing on the inside. Okay. And I didn't hold it long enough, so it's popping up. So just make sure you give yourself enough time to let this glue dry. Otherwise, you're going to get it all over your fingers. And it's not going to hold properly. Okay. And then the last little piece we have, that one last little corner, hot glue, hold, okay, wrap opposite, and and back up. Okay, so we are done with that. Give it a second to dry fully. Okay, so you can see now it's wrapped on all corners, all the way around, and you won't see the inside, so don't get worried if it looks a little funky. Okay, so now that our twine is dry, we can go ahead and put the floral foam in. So you're gonna take your box and put a pretty decent sized dollop of glue on the bottom of it to hold it steady. Okay. Take your foam and push it on in there. It's gonna be a little bit tight, and you want it tight so that it doesn't move around after you arrange. Take any little pieces, you can blow them off, but it's fine. Okay, so our next step is stemming the flowers. So this is a very delicate process, and there's certain ways that each flower needs to be held to make sure that you don't deconstruct the flower itself. So we're gonna take the bigger ones. These are lotus flowers. You'll see on the bottom how they're all tied together. You're gonna take one of your stems. They were pre-cut to the correct size, so you don't have to worry about cutting them down any. So in order to stem the flowers with the lotus, whenever there's a flat middle, I like to put my thumb in the middle. Take the stem pretty firmly, and you're going to basically whittle it in to the center of the flower, ever so slightly with a little bit of pressure. You don't want to push it so hard that it goes through the center of the flower. By putting it in this way, you're gonna already have a pretty decent grab, but we want to put a little bit of glue just to make sure it doesn't loosen over time. So we're gonna grab our glue stick and just put a little dollop of glue right in the center, holding both the stem and the flower together, and just set it over to the side so that it dries properly. And then we're going to do the same, and these are the Aurora flowers. And they're a little bit different. They don't have a flat stem. So we're going to take the stem and we're actually going to hold the Aurora on its side and whittle it in ever so gently, but also with enough pressure. Again, trying not to push it all the way through. If you get to about 1/8 of an inch in, that's perfect. Stop right there, grab your glue gun, and again, put a little dollop of glue between the flower and the stem itself and put it over. Okay, so we're just gonna do the rest of the flowers again with the lotus flower. Put your thumb in the center, whittle it in. I like to actually do all of the stemming first and then go back with the glue gun. Put your thumb in the center, whittle them in. Grab the last two Auroras, grab them by the side, whittle them in. Okay. Again, up side, and whittle them in. Okay, so now we're gonna take the glue gun and put our last dollops of glue on each of those, putting them down to let them dry fully. Okay. Okay. So we'll just give them a second to fully dry, and then we will move on to the next step. Okay, so while our glue on our flowers is fully drying, we're going to get to the greenery. So the kit comes with two types. We've got eucalyptus, and we also have some fern leaves. So we're gonna take the eucalyptus, and this is where you can get a little bit creative, depending on your comfort level and how raw you want it to look. You can cut this a bunch of different ways. My personal favorite is to actually cut it down into about 3 or 4 pieces. So you're gonna pretty much separate these leaves a little and get an idea of what you're looking for. So my plan would be to cut it at about this spot, and then make these 3 top leaves individual, and we'll use those to fill in any bare spots. So when you're cutting the greenery, instead of just cutting it anywhere, look for a natural spot that the greenery would actually stop. So we're going to cut about there. So you see where it kind of creates a bottom stem, but it also looks natural, like the greenery would actually offshoot right there. So we're gonna cut it right there. And then I want a fuller piece, so I'm gonna take a couple extra rows for this one, and I'm gonna cut it right here. Okay, see how that one's a lot fuller? This one's about medium. We're gonna take these three and we're gonna cut them into individual pieces. And I'll show you why in a second. Cut the middle one, and then cut this one, leaving enough that can be pushed into the flower foam properly. These are going to be able to just be pressed in how they are. We'll put a dollop of glue on the bottom and then they'll be good to go. All right, so now we're going to arrange the greenery. Let's push the flowers off to the side. And this is trial and error. Of course, you can move things around. You've got a couple options. Use the fuller piece first and put it in on an angle. This creates a much more natural look, and it can also overflow over the sides. When you put your second piece in, overlap it. So you can see here, I'm gonna go in on the side, but I'm also overlapping in an opposite direction that I put my first piece in. And then these individual pieces. So this is where you would put one maybe in the corner, because we don't have anything over there. One in the center, and then one right in this corner. So let's put it in on an angle so it fills in that spot. Okay, now we're going to take our fern leaves, find any open spots. So right here, I have a pretty open spot. I'm gonna just stick this straight in. If you feel more comfortable and it's a looser fit, put a dollop of glue. It'll hold it perfectly. Okay. You can see right there. And then I think I'm going to put this one, pull off any strings from the glue as well, because you don't want to see those in your arrangement. I'm going to put this one right in here. Okay, so we're pretty evenly covered. Can't see much of the floral foam. Again, the ferns, because they don't have a stem on them, just put a dollop of glue. Okay. Pull out any of the remaining strings from the glue gun, and now you're good to go. Okay. So our next step, we're going to take the little piece of baby's breath. So there's a little trick with this to get it evenly distributed around the flowers. You're going to have a little stem right here on the side. Pull that out. In the center, you'll see a little hole. This hole perfectly fits one of the flowers. So what I like to do is just push one of the wire stems through the hole, and then it's perfectly distributed around the flower. This just gives it a more natural look too, so it's not all one bunch just sitting there. So we'll put that to the side, but we're gonna start with the bigger flowers first. The bigger flowers obviously take up more space, so you're gonna fill in more of the bigger holes. The little flowers are gonna, you know, just make it pretty, a little bit more of an accent. So I'm gonna take one of the lotus flowers, already stemmed, the glue is perfectly dry, and put it in one of the sides that had a little bit less greenery. Again, if you find any of those little glue pieces, just pull them off as you go. Okay, so the trick with arranging flowers is to keep them in a slight triangle. You don't want an exact triangle, make it a little askewed, but it looks more natural when you're arranging the flowers. So we're going to create an askew triangle. pushing in our flowers. You can use the centers to push them in, or you can actually go in on an angle, however you feel comfortable. And again, play around with it. Feel free to pull them out or rearrange. That's perfectly fine. So I'm going to create my triangle, pushing each stem in. There. So we have a little overflow. This one's sticking off of the side. You could do them in a clump if that's the style that you like. Again, personal preference. I'm going to take the one with the baby's breath and I'm going to put that in. We have a little bit of a space right here, so I'm going to fill that in right there. Again, putting your stems in on an angle. I'm going to find another space for one of the other little auroras. Okay, so this one I'm actually going to do a triangle close together with the auroras. You can play around with the greenery too, because some of these are movable. So just push that over to the side. You can see it right here. Push it over and stick your flower right on in there to create more coverage. Okay, so you've put in your flowers. Not so happy with the arrangement, feel free to pull them out and restart again. Don't feel bad. So I'm actually not happy with mine. So I'm going to replace the one that has the baby's breath on it with one of the centers. I'm actually going to put this one over here because I think I like the baby's breath one more in the center anyway. So I'm going to pull up one of the greenery pieces over to the side. I'm going to push gently. Again, don't push too hard because then you're going to push the stem actually through the flower.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed making your own forever flower arrangement. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Little Wooden Flower or online at littlewoodenflower.com. Be sure to subscribe for access to new videos and tutorials. Thank you so much for joining me.